Hello, hello. Welcome everyone. If you're in the house live, let me know. Drop some comments where you're tuning in from. If this is your very first live stream, welcome. My name is Denzel Rodriguez, your personal finance geek of the 21st century. It's been about almost a month since I've done a live stream, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely 2 or 3 weeks. One of those reasons is I just got back from my honeymoon. Had a spectacular, wonderful, romantic, spontaneous, exciting, mesmerizing, life-taking, breathtaking time. Okay? And I'm back. I'm ready to work. I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to help. Today's video is specifically focused on serving you, asking you some critical questions to see where are you currently at today, what's going on in your current finances today. The original title of this video was just going to be a financial Q&A, but I decided to add another element, which is the current state of your finances, plus a Q&A aspect. So those of you who are here, ready, you've got questions, things that you're working on, things that you're stuck on, a math problem, a question about a bank, the state that you're in, anything at all, interest rates, you can drop your questions. I'm going to go one by one and answer all of them for those who are here live. I have some questions that I want to ask you. This is the type of video that you're going to want to pause, especially if you're catching the replay. I'm going to ask a question, pause. I want you to really reflect, think on it, process it, write it down, then hit go, and we'll continue to move. As I'm asking these questions to you, I'm also asking them to myself so you can see how I process things, what my answers are right here live as we proceed in this video. And the goal is not for me to match your answers with my answers or try to convince you my answers are the right one. That's not the purpose of this. It's more so really just becoming aware first, just having awareness where you're currently at. When's the last time someone asked you, what's the current state of your finances? How are you doing? And by what measurements are you using to give yourself a rating? Am I above? Am I below? Am I right on par? Am I right below? Am I right above where I need to be? How do you measure these things? These questions, I believe, are going to be a way for you to measure where you're currently at today, how you're doing, and this will help you prevent comparing to another example, such as a person, a guru, an influencer online, or people in your neighborhood or family members that might be way ahead of you or way below you, and it's not a comparison you want. You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. It does not lead to any good fruit, in my opinion. Even if it's a good example, like, hey, you know, I'm aspiring to be like Tony Robbins, or I'm aspiring to be like, you know, a billionaire, one of the billionaires on Shark Tank. I'm aspiring to be like Kevin O'Leary, what's the other guy? Mark Cuban, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. Okay, like, I would not use a person to compare yourself where they're at compared to where you currently are today. I wouldn't use that. Rather, I would simply use your future self as the comparison, where you're like, okay, these are all the things I want in my life. This is how much I want in my bank account. This is how many properties I want, and this is how many businesses I want. These are the investments I want to be in. And these are the people I want to be around. And these are the type of vacations. This is the type of places I want to travel to. So you evaluate, am I doing any of those things right now? None of those things? Some of those things? What does it cost to continue that lifestyle? Compare your future self to your current self is a much better comparison than using any other human being. Because ultimately it's just going to lead to disappointment. You're going to be discouraged, feel like you want to quit. And even if they're good examples, like you're looking up to someone who is doing the very thing you want to do in life, or living the exact lifestyle that you want. Okay, that's all good examples, but don't compare. Don't compare, because you really don't know what their life is like. You don't know what they had to do and what you're willing to do or not willing to do. So don't do that. Just compare your future self, and you can pull from people using examples. Okay, they're doing this. They have this many kids. They're married. They go to this church. They have this kind of business. They're in this industry. It took them 20 years. Okay, got it. That's better, using examples, not trying to compare that exact person to where you're at today. Not very healthy. Okay. Let me address some of you in the house. We got 18 or so people in. We've got Vera in the house coming out of Tampa. Hello, hello. First live stream. Campton in the house. What is up? How are you doing? Brianna, hello, hello. Says welcome back. Los Angeles. Awesome. Good day. Great blessings to all. Good day. Thank you. Thank you. Anthony. Tim, how are you? Do I have something change my credit card? Do I have to change my credit card due date to the end of a month for a HELOC to be beneficial? Do I have to change my credit card due date to the end of the month for a HELOC to be beneficial? No. I would say whatever the due date is on your HELOC, typically it's like the first week of the month for a lot of HELOCs I see. Sometimes the very first of the month, maybe upwards to like 8 or the 15th. What you need to focus more on is the due dates of your bills. So let's look at your bills throughout the month. Let's say you have a credit card that's due on the 10th of the month. Instead of trying to change the due date of a card, I think that actually requires more work. I'm not sure how easy that is to do with credit card companies, because I think it's set the moment you open up that credit card, and that's how they determine your due date. I've never personally changed my credit card due date for any of my credit cards. I've never done that. It's possible. I'm pretty sure you can do it. I've just never done it. What I do is I change my bills when they're due. I manipulate that. So again, in this example, if you have a credit card that's due on the 10th of every month, and let's say you've got 10 separate bills, 5 of them are due between the 1st and the 10th, you want to focus on those 5 bills and move them, if you can, after the closing date of that credit card. So there's a small window that you're basically trying to avoid when it comes to running bills on a credit card. That small window is the due date of a card, say the 10th of the month, and the closing date of a card, say the 14th. So really, all I want to do is avoid using my credit card on the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. That's it. Those 5 days I want to avoid as much as I can. Because what that does is when I use my credit card on the 15th all the way up to the 9th of any month, those bills do not show up on next month's statement because the closing date ended. So that statement cycle on your credit card ended. They send the mail to you. You get it a few days later after the 14th. It says, here's how much you owe. So as long as you didn't spend between the 10th and the 14th, those expenses do not show up on next month's statement, buying you almost another whole 30 days of zero interest to essentially carry a lot of expenses on a card at zero interest. Meanwhile, where's all your income sitting in that HELOC you were talking about? So for me, I'm less concerned about moving my HELOC date. I'm more so manipulating all my different bills that I have throughout the month. So focus more on the credit card's due date, the closing date, avoid that little window right there. You're essentially going to be floating, depending on what your expenses are, a couple $1,000s or more on that card, zero interest for 28 to almost 45 plus days. By the time you pay your credit card from your home equity line of credit, when you withdraw money out of your home equity line of credit to pay the credit card, you already created the win. The win was that you prolonged the amount of time those expenses stayed on the credit card. Potentially, you got some cashback rewards or points that you're using to create additional offset. You had your thousands of dollars sitting in your home equity line of credit for 30, 45 days or however long. And if you've got a 0% credit card for purchases, 12, 18, up to as high as 24 months, that's an even bigger benefit, okay? Hopefully that was very, very helpful. We got Bruce in the house. Welcome back. Looking forward to our follow-up call. Already feeling the positive changes less than a month into utilizing the strategy. You the man. Thank you, Bruce. Looking forward to speaking with you. Additional update here, since I've been gone for 2 weeks, my biggest challenge going on this honeymoon was completely detaching from the business, from serving. That is not an easy thing for me to do, not because of the amount of money I can potentially make helping people, but it's my purpose. The fact that what I do for my work is what I was born to do. And to figure that out at such a young age, to me, is a major blessing. I talk to people in their 60s. I talk to people who are retired in their 70s. And they do not know what their purpose is. They do not know why they're here on this planet. Still, and they've just been operating for 60, 70 years. So I find it a tremendous blessing to discover my purpose at around 22, 21 years old, pretty much is when I started. No, I'm sorry. I started my journey discovering what my purpose was right after I graduated high school, 18 years old. And then 4 or 5 years later, really dialed in, 22, 23 years old, start the YouTube channel. I'm like, once I actually started doing it and the type of work that I was doing in the financial space, it all clicked. The paradigm shifts, the light bulbs, the confirmations, the spiritual blessings, the spiritual signs, the spiritual confirmations, having God himself talk directly to me, audibly in dreams, using people around me to affirm that what I'm doing is the right thing, that I'm on the right path at 22, 23 years old, and now 29, and still doing the same thing. I haven't changed. I'm the same guy, still today, saying the same stuff, getting better at how I say it, obviously, better communication, all that's important, getting more efficient, expanding my knowledge and wisdom on these financial topics that I am able to serve you and illustrate here on the whiteboard. Oh my goodness, what a blessing. Humongous blessing to understand what that is. So, saying all that, to have to intentionally not serve people for as little as 2 weeks it's just not an easy thing to do. Now, I'm married for only a couple of months, just went on the honeymoon, and I did really well. Okay, I wasn't 100%. My wife is a witness. Okay, every time I looked, I told her, I showed her. So I responded to 4 messages. I know exactly who the people are. I responded to 4 people. And I want to say I looked at my emails just to try to categorize and move things around. Did that about 3 or 4 times. So I want to say I was 95% detached, like probably 96%. That 4% was, it was like second nature. It was like, okay, I just saw an email came in, kind of read it, looked at it, and then intentionally didn't respond. I let my entire community know I wasn't going to be available. I let all my clients know I'm completely detached, and I even asked for accountability. The people I responded to, they were like, do not respond to my next message. So I was like, okay. But I was very present on my honeymoon. It was amazing. Okay. So again, any emails in the last 2 weeks that you might have sent me, any correspondence, any kind of business you might have done with me, just resend those emails, pop it at the top of my email list, and I'm going to start playing a little bit of catch up to get back into the mix of things. That's why I'm doing this here today with you, letting you know I'm back in it. I'm ready to go. Hello from Indiana. Dolores, so good to hear from you. Welcome back, Texas. I look forward to speaking with you soon. We got Anthony in the house. Hello. Terry, hello. Orlando, Florida, awesome. Benjamin, hello, welcome back. Thank you. On some credit cards, they do allow to move your due date. Yeah, so on some. So I definitely think there's ones where there's no flexibility there. But do not make it a habit, okay? Yep. Congratulations and God bless your marriage. Young man, so happy for you and your new bride. Amen. Thank you. Hope you and your wife had a great time. We absolutely did. It was a blast. Okay. Good afternoon. We got Royal in the house. I believe in this strategy. Can't wait to get started on it. Awesome. Thank you. Boom. Let's see. I don't blame you. I enjoy my work. I can't turn it off when I am off either. Yeah, it's something that you have to be intentional about. And when we're talking about wealth and prosperity, how do you measure these things? Okay, now I'm going to get into the current state of your finances. These are questions I'm going to ask you. I want you to really sit with it. You can comment along the way. I'm going to answer it authentically, just pure honest, and write it all out. And let's have some fun. And again, as you have more questions, just drop them in there and I'm going to go right to you and serve you here and now. So these are the questions I'm going to be asking you all. This is what I do in my financial practice. If you're a one-to-one client, we've already done this. If you're a brand new client, we haven't done it yet. And we're building on that, okay? So you will always hear me say, before you do anything, as it relates to your finances and your goals and what you're trying to do and all the stress that you have and the crisis that you're in and all of it, I say you got to know your 4 major numbers. 4 major numbers. What are the 4 major numbers in life? The amount of money you make per month. What are you bringing in? The next major number is your expenses. What is coming out? What are all your bills coming out? Now, on this channel, what I identify as an expense is anything and everything that leaves your bank account. That includes tithing, saving, investing. Investing is an expense. Saving money is an expense. Giving, tithing is an expense. So when I work with you all one-to-one and I'm trying to figure out how much you spend, oftentimes we're leaving numbers out. So part of my job is to dig a little deeper, ask more questions. You're like, oh yeah, there's this, and oh yeah, I do that, and oh yeah, there's this annual thing that comes out every year, and oh, and oh, and oh, and oh, and oh. That's part of my job, and it's help you become aware. It's funny. It's like I don't know, it's the TikTok trend where they say girl math, right? Or I don't think there's a boy math, but it's just, you'll hear like girl math. Girl math is like, for example, and I was doing girl math a little bit on my honeymoon. It was funny. So over 2 years ago, no, probably longer, when COVID happened, my wife at the time, before she became wife, fiance was before the engagement. I actually don't remember. But we were intending to go to Italy in 2020. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2020 or 2021. We were intending to go outside of the country, just go on a vacation. This was before, this is before I proposed. This is, before all the big stuff. And COVID happened, shut everything down. I had converted US dollars to euros, 500 euros. Okay? So now fast forward years later, I've been holding on to those euros, 500 euros. And part of this honeymoon, I had planned what I'm going to spend, get an idea. And this is where girl math comes in. I was like, oh, I got an extra 500 euros that we have, that we can. So it's almost like, this money doesn't count, so you just blow it. We totally spent it. So that's girl math, okay? A lot of you are doing girl math when it comes to your expenses on a daily basis. Like, oh yeah, I don't count that. I'm like, no. We need to count that. That's an expense. You do this on this time of the year, your birthdays, holidays, New Year's, you name it. We have to count it all. How do you count it? If it's an annual expense, you just take the number divided by 12. So we can see what the full breakdown is, because what I'm trying to identify is how much money is going out in a year, broken down month by month, how much income is coming in. And so that would lead me to my next major number, which is cash flow, right? And then your debts. Some of you are completely debt-free, so then you really only have 3 major numbers. But then there are still debts, a part of your finances, maybe not debts that you owe, but a debt could be a line of credit that doesn't have any money owed on it, right? So it's like, you still have debt even when you are completely debt-free. Does that make sense? Like, you still have credit cards with credit lines available. So it'll go from debt obligations to debt access. When you become debt-free, you'll have debt access. access to debt, and we go through what all those are. Yeah, I got 10 credit cards here. I got 2 lines of credit. I got a home equity line of credit. I have a cash value life insurance policy. I got a collateral line of credit. All these different things. Make sense? Okay. So now, once you get your 4 major numbers, as your financial accountability partner, as your personal finance geek, as your financial coach, as your financial consultant, as your partner in your financial freedom journey, once we get these 4 major numbers, this is the awareness part. We've become aware of the numbers. Then what I try to do is develop financial tracking. So with every single one of my clients, I send them a financial spreadsheet, a very simple, user-friendly, easy to use, easy to track, easy to document. Velocity Banking Financial Spreadsheet is what I call it. Super simple. And it allows us to just track all the numbers on a monthly basis, and we just begin to track. It's an intentional thing that we're doing to develop the relationship between you and I, so I can keep up to date, stay in sync with what you have going on, and you yourself can stay in sync with the different things that you have going on. One of the things that I enjoy about financial tracking is the ability to measure progress, accountability. There's no BS. There's no lying in the math. That's what I love about being able to track someone's finances. I can look at someone's finances, look at all the numbers, and I can give a diagnosis, almost like a financial doctor. And I can say, hey, you have cancer. And if we don't remove this cancerous activity in your financial system, your whole financial household, your systems are all going to break and crumble. What does that lead to in life? That leads to bankruptcy. That leads to repos. That leads to evictions. That leads to foreclosures. That leads to homelessness, ultimately leads to death. That is what's at stake here. When we don't do these things, that's ultimately what it leads to. Death too early. If we do not make the changes, if we do not look at case studies. What are some case studies in your own life that you can identify or relate with emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be, where you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to end up like this. I refuse. On this honeymoon I just went on, and just getting married, and just buying a house, I just bought my mom a house. Literally, right before I went on the honeymoon, what was it? I left on May 25th, so this was May 23rd. Literally was signing documents, closing on a home for my mom. And I look at these things that I've been able to do successfully. One of the reasons why I've been able to have so much success in my own life is by being an observant. I've just simply observed other people failing, other people doing things, making errors, making mistakes, talking about them. And I'm the type of person that I don't need to touch the stove to know that it's hot. If you tell me, Denzel, that stove is hot, don't touch it. I'm simple. I'm like, yeah, okay. I've got no desire to figure out whether that thing is hot or not. Is anybody with me on that? Or are you someone that has to touch it to see if it's hot, and then you burn yourself? A lot of people are like that. A lot of people will make arguments that you have to go through it to really get the experience to know that's hot and you shouldn't touch it. A lot of people make that argument when it comes to trauma, when it comes to obstacles and challenges that they've had in their life. And I simply disagree with that. I simply disagree with that. I do not think, let's talk about marriage a little bit, because I just got married and I just went on this honeymoon. Just using marriage as an example. All the things that I've been hearing about when it comes to marriage, the way it's being marketed on social media today, how it's gruesome, hard, you're going to put in all this hard work and you're going to have to, make sacrifices and do all these things. And I'm like, okay, got it. And, you don't understand till you go through it. And I'm like, yeah, there's case studies that I have over here where, I don't need to do this drug or have this addiction or have this workaholic mentality or think that I can work this much and sustain a marriage or do all these different things and still have a happy marriage. Yeah, I'm not going to see for myself. I'm just not. What I am going to do is design an intentional marriage designed for wealth and prosperity. All of these mistakes that these people have made. One person I'm really listening and paying close attention to right now, simply because they're putting out the material, a guy named Garrett Gunderson. Many of you might know him. He's been putting out some marriage content. I'm like, oh, this is really good. And he talks about being a high-performing entrepreneur, very successful, making tons of money at the expense of his marriage and kids. I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm a high-performing entrepreneur. I do make a lot of money, more than your average person. I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm online. I'm serving thousands of people. And I could do certain things with my YouTube channel, with you all, that could explode my YouTube channel. It's going to require certain amount of time, energy, and effort for me to succeed in that. At what cost, though? At what expense? If it's at the expense of my marriage, close friends, family, personal relationships, I'm just not gonna try to see if it could work out. No, I'm looking at Garrett Gunderson. I'm like, okay, he tried it. He did it. He had a burnout. He had an up and down effect, and then has been and recovered and has been doing well ever since. To me, I'm like, okay, I want this, and I want to avoid that, and then I want that. So I can just learn from him. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not gonna do that. I'm gonna design a very intentional life. I'm gonna ask myself questions. What is my current state of my financial position? Right? I just got off this honeymoon. I just got married. I just bought my mom a house. I bought myself a house in end of 23. We're now in 25, so almost 2 years. I've been doing a lot of expensing, of spending, of building relationships with people. Been doing a lot of it, all of which intentionally, all very, very intentional. So being able to figure out these specific questions, these systems that we're going to put in place together. Okay? And let me pause because I'm seeing some comments. So thank you, Anthony. Says I'm skipping. Hopefully it gets better. This is on. Everything's good. That's unfortunate that I am skipping. Sorry about that. I'm going to continue because it looks like everything's good on my end. Maybe I just won't get too passionate and use my hands a lot. So I get passionate with some of these conversations we're having. Because I'm like, man, a lot of you are struggling with certain things. Don't even realize it. And we're going to break through some of those today, or at least crack open the shell and dig a little deeper past the numbers, okay? So, got to know your 4 major numbers. What's going on? Financial tracking is the next part. Okay, thank you. It's good, not skipping for me. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. What do you use to track your finances? I'm going to answer the question. I want you to answer the question. What do you use to track your finances? Are you using an app? Are you using a whiteboard? Are you using pen and paper? For me, all right, these are going to be the answers. All right, we'll label this to these 5 questions. So 1, I use notes on my phone, whiteboard, pen, and paper. I'm very old school. I do not use a whole lot of technology to track my finances. For me, it's just not that hard. I like to see it visually. There's something about me writing it, every single one of my expenses. And the reason why I do that, here's a key note here. I do not budget. I don't budget. I do not budget because I believe, this is a conviction of mine, I believe budgeting doesn't work. I don't believe it works for me. I also look at statistics, and there is a high failure rate when it comes to people who budget their finances. What do I mean by failure rate? Like, it's a high failure, meaning if you try to stay within a spending range, try to stay under $1,000 in a specific category, people break it almost every single month. So instead of trying to conserve, restrict spending, I simply ask myself, what does it cost to live Denzel's lifestyle the way he is currently operating today? So I literally go one by one and I comb through my entire bank account. I go 90 days up to a year and I just simply track it all. Okay, this is how much I spent in January. This is how much I spent in February, all the way through to December. I look at my lifestyle. I look at all my subscriptions I have. I look at what it costs to maintain this lifestyle that I have. To operate my business and my personal life, this is what it costs. So I look at that cost, and then my next response is, I need to create more value to support this lifestyle. I can't create equal value. If I create equal value to this lifestyle, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. So I'm not getting ahead. If I create less value than this lifestyle, now I'm running a negative. It's that simple for me. And this is what I want to transfer to you to help you realize how simple it is. When it comes to Terry, Osborne, Anthony Henderson, Benjamin Morales, Tim Harlow, Dolores, Pearl, and all the others watching, what does it cost to live your lifestyle? So if I'm talking to Benjamin, I'm trying to figure out what does it cost to live Benjamin's life. I'm not interested in how Dolores lives her life if I'm talking to Benjamin. And neither should Benjamin. Benjamin should have no interest in how much it costs to operate Dolores's life. This is where we start comparing ourselves to the Joneses and think we deserve something more or think we are doing better. No. What does it cost to live Benjamin's life? Okay, Benjamin, this is what it costs to live your life according to the data, according to the numbers. And then what I like to do is overestimate. So I'll say, okay, we'll just create a little buffer, leave room for error. This is how much it costs to live your life. This is how much value you need to create in the marketplace, meaning this is how much you need to be getting paid. This is how much money you need to bring in to maintain and sustain this lifestyle for a prolonged period of time. The next question is, am I willing to do that? Am I willing to create this much amount of value? To put it into numbers perspective, for me personally, when it comes to your cost of living, everything, lifestyle costs, all of it, I want my income to be at least 40% higher than what it costs to live my lifestyle. So just for this example here, if we take away saving and investing, just those two things, saving and investing, and we put some numbers behind it, let's say you make $10,000 a month, I personally want my lifestyle expenses, business and personal, to be $6,000 a month or less. This way, I'm able to save and invest almost 40% of my income. And if I continue to do that, save 40% of my income year over year over year over year, have that money grow in a separate location in different investments, different assets, what's going to happen is in a very short period of time, I'm not going to have to physically produce $10,000 a month because now I'm going to have my investments do that, which overpowers my lifestyle cost of living. Then you add on continued activity. Well, if I just continue to make $10,000 a month and I have investments making $10,000 a month, now I'm at $20,000 a month. I've got room to expand my lifestyle expenses. The follow-up question then becomes, what is the desire for Benjamin Morales, for Denzel Rodriguez, for Anthony Henderson, from Tim Harlow? What is the actual desire that they want? Let's put this into perspective, right? So I'm going to answer the question. This is all part of financial tracking. Notes on my phone, whiteboard, pen and paper, and I forgot to add the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet that I give to you all, I use it as well. So I have digital notes, physical notes. I use the whiteboard because I record and I'm able to watch myself years back and see the improvement. So the whiteboard is more so for documentation, reflection, revelation even. And notes on my phone is quick access. I can look at my numbers at any given time. So I'm going to go right on my phone. I go to my notes section. I go to my current monthly bills. And the number says, for me, expenses are $18,541.03. That is what it costs to operate Denzel's life. Personal, business, everything, taxes, everything is all included in that number. Divided out into 12 months, $18,541.03. And I want you all to do this with me with your own numbers if you haven't already done so. Take the number, times it by 12 to see what your total cost of operations are in a year. So for me, it's $222,492.36 is what it costs to operate my lifestyle, my expenses, business and personal. Everything is included in this number except for the 40% part that I'm going to explain to you. So for me, as a framework, I want to be able to save 40% of my income. That's the goal. Ideally. If I do less, okay, whatever. If I'm able to do more, great. But the goal, the milestone each year is to be able to put away 40%. So if I spend $222,000 in a year, how much money do I need to make to be able to save 40%? What's that number? Okay. And I'm going to look at one of the revenue years that I had. So going back, in one of the years I made 300 and, hold on, let me go back. Let me make sure I get my numbers right. Okay. So one year I made 346,000. If I times that by 40%, so let's say 346 was income in a year. This is one of my revenue years. Times that by 40%. It's $138,400. So 346 minus 138,400. So there's only $207,600 left to spend. So that would mean, if looking at 2025, if I only make $346,000 for 2025 and I spend this much, $222,492.36, did I meet my goal? No. Right? I was short. I'll be short $14,000. Am I pissed off about that? No. I'm not mad. I made a framework. I created a standard. That standard for you could be 10%, could be 50%. It could be more. Just depends on what kind of lifestyle do you actually want to live. Not what you're comparing online and social media. So for me, my current lifestyle, the way that I operate today, to serve thousands of people online and to have my own personal life and to cover all my own personal obligations, debt obligations, business obligations, it costs somewhere around this number, $18,541.03. It's an overestimated number. Okay? Comes out to $222,492.36 in a year. Anything I produce above this year, above $222,492.36, essentially is being saved and invested for the future. It's as simple as that for me. I don't budget because I simply know what my numbers are. So therefore, I don't need to budget. I know exactly what to expect because I know exactly what it costs to live that lifestyle. And then I'm looking at my future self, So I create another spreadsheet. I call it the financial freedom spreadsheet. Same exact spreadsheet I give you guys. I just give you a second one, and we'll title that financial freedom. spreadsheet, and we go through, okay, Benjamin, okay, Anthony, okay, Tim, Terry. Let's fast forward, if we're in financial freedom, what does it cost to live that lifestyle in financial freedom for Terry, for Denzel, for John, for Tim? And we don't compare Tim to John, John to Tim, Tim to Anthony. We're not going to do that. We're just going to compare Tim to Tim, Denzel to Denzel. So in this example, Denzel is here in 2025 today. And this is going to be so cool to document this and then look at it 5 years from now. So in 2030, I get to look back, and this is what I do with you guys. Every single case study you see on my YouTube channel is a real situation. And then I'll make videos where I come back as I look at the progress. Look at the difference. Look at what's happened since. It's amazing. It's so cool. I do this with the clients all the time. Super fun. 2025, $18,541.03 to operate Denzel's life. Denzel's goal, financial freedom. I looked at every single thing I want to spend money on under this financial freedom environment. Everything. I looked at all of it. All the health that I would be invested in, all the investments, all the vacations and travel. You mean everything. I accounted for as much as I possibly could, and then I threw a tremendous buffer on top of it all. And the number I came up with was $80,000 a month. In order for me to declare financial freedom mathematically, not spiritual financial freedom. I personally have spiritual financial freedom. I don't have physical financial freedom mathematically. I'm not there yet. I have financial independence. I have financial peace. I have wealth. I have financial wealth, understanding. I'm happy and blessed and content where I am at, but I am not stopping by any means. And even when I get to this number, I'm not going to just stop. I'm going to keep serving out my purpose. I compared me to me. I shut the doors, I shut the social media off, and I went all in and said, Denzel, what is it that you actually desire in this life? What do you actually want? How big of a house do you actually want? How big of a backyard do you actually want? How expensive of a car do you exactly want? Do you want a boat? Do you want a jet? What exactly do you want? I asked myself that over and over again. Mapped it all out. And then said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. $80,000 a month. Give me just a second. I've got some background noise going on. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm back. My other computer was making noise. Okay. 80,000 a month compared to where I'm currently at today, 18,543.03. So I look at the current state of my finances, I become aware, and I say, okay, in order to live the lifestyle that I desire, it's going to cost $80,000 a month. This is inclusive of all the investments, all the saving, all the giving that I want to be able to do, all the traveling. This includes what it would cost to serve thousands, tens of thousands of people online, in person, all that, traveling for business, speaking, you name it. I put it all in there. 80,000 a month. So I measure, I say, okay, 80,000 minus 18,543. 103. We've got a $61,000, $458.97 gap. So that's the gap. So for all you visual people, this is the end goal, 80K. This is where you started. Let's just say, for me, I started with 0. So I started at 0, right? And here were some milestones. 2K a month, 20K a month, 50K, right? Like, these are different milestones. So you say, okay, how far off are we, right? I'd say in the last couple of years, I've just been averaging around 30 plus K months, sometimes 20, so between like 20 and 30K. So I feel like I'm like halfway. That's what I feel. But we actually look at, well, what does the math actually say? It's like, no, you're not halfway there. Okay. 80,000 times 20% is 16. So I'm about, what, 24% of the way there? Yeah, call it 24% of the way there. So here's what I look at. And this is expense. This is expense, not income. Expense. I'm 24% of the way there in terms of spending money every single month, around $80,000 a month. So 100 minus 24, I've got 76% more to go to get to my goal. So in order to spend $80,000 a month, that's $960,000 a year expense. The income goal for me, I simply take whatever my income was, I 10x it. So say 3.4 million times 40%. Plenty of space. So that's save and invest. Okay. 3.4 million. So anywhere from, so my personal goal was to be able to generate 3 to 5 million a year. That creates a massive gap between what I'd be spending in a year and what I'd be making. Agreed? So if we took 3.4 million minus 1.36 million, you're left with 2,040,000. So that went to save and invest. You got 2 million left minus $960,000. There's $1,080,000 left. That $1,080,000 allows me to give in the area that I want to be able to give in, at the level that I want to be able to give. So I want to be able to give $1 million a year or more. That's a standard that I'm working toward getting to. In order for me to give $1 million a year and live the desired lifestyle that I want, that costs $80,000 a month, and be able to save and invest $1.3 million or more per year, I have to make at least $3.4 million or more. Probably more when you factor in other things along the way. I've never been a multi-millionaire before, so there might be some unknown expenses that I'm not aware of. But in my opinion, I'm creating enough of a gap to account for a lot of that. I hope this is being really helpful. Let me know in the comments if this is really like sinking in. We're like, okay, instead of me thinking that I need to make millions of dollars to be financially free, this is what Denzel did. Now do the same exact thing, take Denzel out. Use the example. Don't compare to me because you don't know what I have in here. You're like, Denzel, what could cost $80,000 a month? If I were to break it down for you, that'd be a 3-hour video. I can absolutely do that, and most likely will do that to show exactly what kind of lifestyle I want to live. But you have to understand what my purpose is. So when you look at the context of any situation, you look at, okay, what's their purpose? What's their actual desires? There's some people on this live stream that do not have the same desires that I have. Simple. They don't. That doesn't make them any less or any more. This is all equal playing ground here. If your financial freedom lifestyle, which I've done with a few of you, there's a person I'm thinking of right now, when we mapped out all the numbers, in order for them to achieve financial freedom according to them, the number came out to like $30,000 a month. And we were like throwing in like tons of buffers in that. And what that allowed was for that person to just stretch their mind as far as they could think. And I was like, what else? What else do you want? What else do you want? This, Denzel, this. And I looked up the cost online. So for example, one of my clients, in their financial freedom lifestyle, they want to have a personal driver all the time, like a hired personal driver to take them around everywhere in retirement. We looked it up. It's going to cost about $10,000 a month. That was like the biggest expense in their financial freedom lifestyle. The other was traveling, which was like another $10,000 for travel per year. So that's at 20. And the other 10 was a combination of giving, what it costs to maintain their lifestyle. They only want one home. They don't be bothered. They got one car. So the number came out to like 30 grand a month. That was it. So they're like, okay, guess what? You need to create this amount of value to have this kind of lifestyle, $30,000 a month. What's beautiful about that is now that client doesn't have to compare it to Denzel's financial freedom number of $80,000 a month, because that's going to lead to disappointment. That's going to lead to a level of work, a level of time and energy and effort that person just may not be willing to do because it's not actually in alignment with what wealth and freedom means for them. See where I'm going with that? So I want you to spend time on just that alone. Financial tracking. How do you do it? What are some frameworks that you operate by? Do a little recap. Once you know what the total expense number is, put it right here, times it by 12. So you see what the total number is. How much money do you want to be able to save and invest year over year? And then that helps you determine how much money you need to actually make to sustain that lifestyle. Okay? So you know for a fact that if your current lifestyle costs you $10,000 a month, you know you have to make more than $10,000 a month. But how much more do you need to make to sustain and maintain and sustain that lifestyle in perpetuity. The number I put was 40%. When you factor in inflation over time, what happens with money, how it devalues, you're going to have to create a lot of value to support that. Simple as that, no way around it. Then you look at your future self. You say, okay, under financial freedom terms, what does it cost to live your lifestyle when you're financially free? If it costs you $80,000 a month, you have to produce way more than $80,000 a month, because you have to account for emergencies and crisis and income going down, death, and all the things that comes with life. So you have to create a nice gap to support that. And at minimum, it's got to be at least 3.4 million if you want to be able to do what I do, save 1.3, be able to give $1 million or more a year, and have that lifestyle that you want that's going to cost $960,000 a year. And you want to factor in as much as you possibly can in this $80,000 a month, and then throw buffers on top of that. So you have all this room for error. Now we're going to move along to the next thing, which is your current financial position, which we've kind of pretty much covered here. The only thing I'm going to add, so there's your current financial position. Okay, logically you are here. That's what we just discovered. So for me, logically, I'm at $18,500 a month. Cost of living lifestyle. That's my current financial position. We're going to add additional things in here, such as assets, what assets do you have? We're going to look at estate planning. What do you have there? And then the mathematical equation for me that reduces risk and promotes portfolio success. So solving for portfolio success for the rest of your life. We're going to break down the different incomes. You've got active income, passive, and guaranteed. Okay? So looking at your current financial position, there's two major milestones in your financial freedom journey that we could look at. Put the visual here. You've got your current position, put it right here. This is financial independence. This zone right here is the battle zone. This is where a lot of you are at. You're in the war zone. What is that? Paycheck to paycheck, sometimes negative, just slightly ahead. You're saving some, not enough. You're not where you want to be. You're in the battle zone. You're fighting, you're working, you're doing all the things. You're improving, you're watching this video, you're watching other channels, you're getting coaching, you're personally developing yourself. You're doing all the right things. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. This is going to take time. If you've been in financial turmoil for 40 years, for 30 years, 20 years, doing what you've been doing for that period of time, and then in the last 3 to 5 years, you've been making changes, I'm not saying it's going to take 20 years, but I'm also saying it's probably not going to take 3 to 5 years for the majority. It's going to take a little bit longer, maybe 10 years, to really get to the first major milestone in your financial freedom journey is financial independence. When you achieve financial independence, mathematically what it means is you have enough passive income to cover your lifestyle expenses. Financial freedom equals passive income covers lifestyle expense. Your current lifestyle expense. That's what financial independence equals. There's no debate on this. This is a fundamental, absolute truth. You cannot have financial independence and make less money than what it costs to operate your lifestyle. It's just not possible. At least not possible for a prolonged period of time. So once you achieve financial independence, you are now in the comfort zone. This is a different battle. It's still a war zone. It's just different. This war zone doesn't feel or even look like war. This looks like, I would say, an illusion of peace. Financial independence to me is an illusion of peace. But you're a few mistakes from losing peace by making one bad deal, by getting scammed, by having one major obstacle in your life mess all this up, and it puts you right back in the war zone. You do not want to achieve financial independence and then get comfortable. That is what will immediately occur is you will begin to breathe better, because now you're not just treading water, you're on a boat now. You're not sinking. The waves aren't crashing. It's beautiful. The sun is hitting you just right. There's no clouds. It's a perfect day. That's what financial independence feels like. But you're one storm away from losing that beautiful day. That's it. So you don't want to get too comfortable there, because ultimately you need to get here, financial freedom. Financial freedom is well above and beyond what it costs to operate the current lifestyle. The most efficient way, in my opinion, to achieve financial independence or to declare financial independence is have enough guaranteed, not just passive income, but have guaranteed income cover your lifestyle expenses, or you could say all needs covered. All needs covered with guaranteed income. So there's only 3 forms of guaranteed income: Social Security, pension plans, and annuities. That is it. There are no other guaranteed income vehicles in the world. Not for life. Real estate is passive income. A business is passive income. Your stock portfolio is passive income, but it's not guaranteed. So you want to have enough guaranteed income to cover all your needs plus any more that it could do with that. And then passive income goes above and beyond covering all lifestyle expenses and needs. And then when you do active, passive, and guaranteed all together, you're now above and beyond to hit financial freedom. You need to figure out what that percentage gap is. For example, let's say someone's financial independence number is $10,000 per month. and you're like, okay, in order to live the lifestyle that I have currently, maintain it and sustain it, I need to bring in at least $10,000 per month. But in order to have financial freedom under financial freedom rules and guidelines, I need to be at $50,000 a month. So you got a $40,000 gap. You're still in the comfort zone. Once you get to $50,000 or more, now you can declare financial freedom mathematically. Not the emotional part, not the psychological, spiritual part, just dealing with the math. That's how I view that personally. And that's just one aspect of financial freedom. Because there's multiple, right? There's multiple aspects of financial freedom. The only thing that I'm focusing on is the numbers for this discussion here. So when we're talking one-to-one together, as I'm helping you overcome certain financial blocks and obstacles that you see, simultaneously, I'm figuring out where exactly is this person. Are they in the war zone, the battle zone? Are they in the comfort zone and they're working to get their way out? For me, I'm in the comfort zone. I've passed financial independence. I have enough passive. I have no guaranteed income. I'm too young to have a Social Security plan, to have a pension or an annuity. So none of those apply to me. But I do have enough passive income to cover all my lifestyle expenses. That's what gives me the ability to go on a honeymoon and not do any business whatsoever on that honeymoon, or get married, buy my mom a house, like do all these different things that I personally desire to do. I'm able to achieve that. There's certain things that I'm not able to do, and this is where you get into the comparison trap. With my current finances, my numbers, there are certain things that I'm not able to do. I cannot afford a Rolls Royce, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari. But nowhere in my financial freedom system, my wealth alignment, does it factor that in my financial freedom household and system. It doesn't account for a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce. According to my financial freedom, financial independence, I still would not be able to afford a multi-million-dollar mansion, a multi-million-dollar yacht, a $100 million jet or more. I would not be able to afford that under these guidelines. Does that matter? No. Because I went through every single expense that I personally desire to have in my world of financial freedom, and it does not account for those things. So therefore, I don't need to make that much money. If I end up making that much money, I'm still most likely not going to buy those things, because my mind is going to go to, well, okay, now I'm able to give $2 million or more a year. Now I'm able to give $3 million or more. Like, my lifestyle is going to just maintain my lifestyle. It's not necessarily going to go up dramatically. It's just going to go up incrementally linear. It's going to go up like this through inflation and taxes. But not because I'm indulging in a higher lifestyle expense due to the fact that I just simply make more money. That's not the way I operate. So keep that in mind as you're working through all this. Solving for portfolio success looks at your guaranteed income column, your passive income column, active income. Even when I get to 60 plus years old, I'm still going to be doing this. Granted, I have good health and I'm able to. At 29 years old, like, I have a 60-year plus time frame. 60 years from now, I'll be 89 years old. On YouTube, 89 years old. I have no intent of stopping this. No intent. So I think it's going to be incredible to see my 29-year-old self on the same YouTube channel When I'm 80 years old, it's going to look like two different people are doing the YouTube channel. And I'm going to see all that, and I'm still going to keep it moving. So there's still going to be active producing income. Some of you may not want that. That's okay. Again, don't compare me to you. Only do future self. What does your future self look like? What is that person doing? What kind of work are they doing? What kind of passive investments are you doing? All these things, super important. So that's current financial position. Now, what are your financial strategies? What are the financial strategies that you are incorporating to hit these numbers? What are they? So for me, velocity banking, to pay off debt, offset interest, and invest using OPM, positive arbitrage. Infinite banking. Life insurance. Cash value. Leverage. Okay. Tax-free. Volatility buffer. Overall insurance. Those are my two major financial strategies that I'm using to achieve all of the goals that I'm looking to do. Now, you can keep adding to this. All right, so what are some additional financial strategies or concepts? Or we can talk financial vehicles. A financial strategy could also include a financial vehicle. So let's talk about other additional financial vehicles. So Roth, IRA, HSA, not just any HSA, not just any Roth IRA. I am doing self-directed. All right. Roth 401k. Crypto accounts. Real estate. This is my focus. Velocity banking is my day-to-day 4 major numbers, how my money flows. This is how my money flows. All right, we got income, got the line of credit, bills, debts. Money in, money out, pays debts, recovers cash flow and interest, offsets interest. That is the flow of money. This is how I use my money. My money has to remain in flow. It is a river, it is a stream. So my money is flowing through my line of credit. My money comes out of my line of credit. It pays all bills and debts. It funds all investments, all saving strategies, life insurance policies, and all kinds of financial accounts. So with the life insurance, I'm overfunding whole life insurance. I'm using whole life insurance to practice the infinite banking concept strategy. Then I'm using a Roth IRA. I have that. I have an HSA that I fund every single year. All of this through self-directed accounts, so it gives me more control, more access. The Roth 401k, I'm working on starting that. Crypto accounts, already have them. Working on moving into self-directed accounts through crypto so that I can avoid the taxation with that. Same with real estate and same with online business. Right? Purchasing or investing in online businesses, which is something that I'm familiar with because my entire business has been built online. So I stay in the things that I know, that I have experience in, knowledge in, and actual interest in. Like I'm actually interested in doing these things, talking about these things, so it doesn't feel like additional work. And that's the pond that I am in, and that's it. So you look at the financial strategies or financial strategy or strategies that you're implementing, and what are you doing to improve those strategies, to get better at them. That comes through coaching. That comes through watching videos just like this, day in and day out. Very important. Now, framework for wealth. What's that? Let me share my screen. We're gonna have some fun. Let me build this out. Let me go like this. Okay. So here is my framework for wealth. I shared this before, so I'm just going to share it again. What's your definition of wealth? For me, it's a blessing. It's a gift from my creator. The transaction for wealth is there's a giver and a receiver. Wealth is stored in wisdom. Wisdom is the understanding, knowledge of the Lord's will and ability to take action. And the way I acquire wealth is by seeking the kingdom first. The formula for wealth is to be fruitful. The definition of work is to become who you are. That's what fruitful means. That you're working, and that work that you do makes you more of who you are every day. So I don't work for someone. I don't even work for something. Right? I work to become who I am, more of who I am every day, and that pleases my Father in heaven. Makes him happy, because when I am fruitful, I'm operating in his will over my life that he designated, because he is the author and creator of my life. He writ it all out for me, and I'm living it out in real time. I multiply, I invest in myself, personal development, compound that over time. I reinvest until mastery. I find the one thing that I can get really good at, and I'm put 10,000 hours behind it. This year, I will cross 10,000 hours working with people one-to-one. I've already crossed 10,000 hours in terms of footage online, content. 10,000 hours spent on videos. It's already out there. 1,000 plus videos. You add up all the hours, it'll be 10,000 hours. So I've already crossed that. But 10,000 hours actually on the phone with people, I'll cross that this year. And from there, I subdue, control, influence the marketplace, and have dominion. Dominate the marketplace, rule over it, rule over my life, control my life so that others don't. That's the framework. Pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy there. Your vision, your mission, your purpose. Let's take a look at that. What is that for you? Here's mine. My mission, personally. I'm called to serve mothers, helping them master their personal finances to create financial security for their family and leave a legacy. That's my mission. That's my vision, my purpose in life. Everything is encompassed in that statement, and it expands, right? Because I don't just serve moms. I serve single people. I serve people with no kids. I serve dads. I serve brothers, sisters, friends, right? So I'm not limited, but when we're talking about focus, the thing that you're going to specialize in, for me, it's that. And that has given me the skills to speak with all kinds of people. But know that when you have a specific people group that you serve in the work that you do, it's going to attract people that relate to that people group. Who relates to their mom? Everybody. So it opens up the world to everyone, yet I'm narrow focused on serving mom. So a majority of my viewership on YouTube alone, over 30% of my subscribers or viewers generally, subscribed or not subscribed, are women. Over 30%. YouTube is a male-dominated audience. We're talking about finances. Most women are not that interested in finances, period. And I've got a 30+% viewership of women online. And then when you look at my practice, I would say about 40, almost 50% of my actual client base, people I work with one-to-one, are women. So it's like every other call I'm on is a woman, right? Every other call I'm on is with a man. And typically that man has a woman on the call, their wife or their partner, and they're part of the conversation anyways. So when you're that focused on what your vision, mission, purpose is, right? You want to ask these questions to yourself, build that out, really spend time with it. Write it down, say it. When you say it, do you believe it? What is a result of you fulfilling that purpose? That's where the value comes in. So you've got to create massive amount of value to get what you want, your personal desires, how you want to live your life. So I've committed to serving at a very high level and consistently wanting to expand that level and get better. So therefore, the lifestyle I want in comparison to the value that I'll bring in the marketplace is going to create this tremendous gap. And that's what I've been able to see in my life. And this is how I measure progress, how I measure these things. So I'm never comparing myself or getting mopey or looking at what someone else has and then getting jealous about it. I can admire it, I can aspire to it, I can, draw case studies, see examples, but I'm always just going to be comparing my future self to my current self day in and day out, and not do anything above that, because then that creates personal abuse to yourself. Anyone on here that is comparing their lifestyle to mine, you are committing personal, domestic abuse to yourself. Anyone on here watching live and catching the recording, if you're comparing yourself to any social media influencer guru on TV to your life today, you are committing personal abuse to yourself, and this is your notice to stop, because you're contaminating your brain, you're contaminating your thoughts, you're contaminating your emotions. You're not even able to appreciate what you currently have because you're too busy comparing to what others have and then getting disappointed, angry why you don't have those things, or frustrated when things don't work in your favor. It's not a journey you want to go down. It's something I refuse to do. And it puts me in such a place of authority, of confidence, of certainty, no doubt, all faith. It's incredible when you're in that kind of position where you can stand tall even if you're the smallest person in the room, let's just say. Because when we look at wealth defined by personal alignment, when you're personally aligned to your mission, vision, purpose, and values, you're equal to a billionaire that's operating in their mission, vision, and purpose. You're equal. Mathematically, there's an imbalance, right? They're a billionaire and maybe you're not. You're a millionaire. But when it comes to vision, mission, purpose, you're both on the path, just at different stages. Just doing it at different levels. Even if you meet someone that has the same exact goals as you, and they're a multimillionaire and you are a six-figure earner, you're both equal in the fact that you both discovered your own purpose, mission, values, you're in alignment with it. Then it just boils down to skill level. Okay, maybe they're just better than you, and that's okay. You can collaborate with that person, they will make you better. Maybe they're simply better because they've been doing it for 15 years and you just started last year. And that makes sense? So the way I look at it is I'm like, okay, I've now been on YouTube for 7 years. But there are other YouTubers that I watch that have been on YouTube since 2016, since 2010, since YouTube came out. So they've been on YouTube for 10 years, a decade or more. I've been on it for 7 years. So I look at their progress in comparison to mine. I'm like, okay, that's where they're at. Let me not compare myself to where they're at because I don't know what they did to get there. Or even if someone is ahead of you and they did it in a shorter period of time, guess what? That's pure competition. That's the exciting part of it. When you see someone that's doing better than you in the same exact area as you, they're going faster than you, that gives you the opportunity to say, okay, is there something that I could be doing to improve my metrics, my analytics, my results that they're doing, that they're capturing? Am I willing to do it the way they're doing it? Are they doing it ethically, unethically? Let's say they're doing it ethically, perfectly. Okay, great. What can I learn from them? Or could I just simply collaborate? Then it's like competition goes out the door when you're just always in collaboration mode. And finally, how do you measure risk and leverage when it comes to your finances? Because in any financial portfolio, there are risks associated with that. There's all kinds of risk in someone's financial portfolio. And a lot of you have no idea how much risk you are taking on to get to a financial goal. A lot of you have no idea how much risk you're taking on because you don't have a way to measure. So let me give you some measurements that I use to measure risk. I start with cash flow. How much money is left over after all your bills, debts, saving, investing, all that? How much money is left over after all your bills and debts are paid? That's cash flow. Cash flow to me is money that doesn't yet have a purpose, and we're going to put that purpose typically towards saving, investing, or giving. Because you're trying to compound money outside of your active income because we all know we can't work forever. We can't depend on active income forever. You have to produce passive income and guaranteed income. You have to. Because ultimately it will lead to death too early. Like, that's the cost. If you don't do it, you'll die too early, period. You need money to operate on this planet, period. Have as much faith as you want. If you don't have money, you don't eat. Unless someone's willing to give you money. But guess what? It required money for you to eat anyways. So money is an important aspect of living on this planet. So let's not neglect money. Let's not neglect that. Cash flow. Take that, times it by 12. What does that number equal? I look at the credit line of an individual. How much debt access? What are we looking at? Home equity line of credit, personal line of credit, credit cards, whatever it is. Take the credit line, times by 2/3. For me, that's max leverage that I would take. Cash flow times 12 lets me know how much money I personally have created in a 12-month period that I could work with. Let's say your cash flow times 12 is $30,000 a year. Let's say you have a HELOC for $100,000. 66% of that is $66,000. So the max leverage that you could borrow debt, OPM, using my rules of leverage, would be to borrow no more than $66,000. Let's say you did that. Let's say you borrowed $66,000 leverage at 7.5%. Let's do the math on that. Let's see what we get. 66,000 times 7.5%. It's going to cost $4,950 of interest in a year. So the total, $70,950. Let's put that in perspective of cash flow. That's $2,500 in cash flow per month. So let's say you're looking at making an investment. Let's say you're going to take 66 grand and you watched a video and you're going to buy Bitcoin because you heard all the wonderful things about Bitcoin. Let's say that's going to be your investment. Okay. So you're going to buy this asset, $66,000 worth at 7.5%. The total cost is $70,950. $70,950, divide that by $2,500. What you are doing is you are leveraging 28.3 months of future cash flow, or 2.3 years. You are putting at risk the next 2.5 years almost of cash flow at risk. If that fails, you now lost 2.3 years of progress, future progress, according to your current income and the amount of cash flow you create. The question is, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to put 28 months of future cash flow at risk? Are you willing to put 2.3 years of cash flow at risk? A lot of you have no idea that you're doing that because you never ran the math. And so when it goes south, let's say you bought $66,000 worth of Bitcoin and it tanks. So let's say you lose 50%, let's just say. You bought an asset at 66 grand. Now it goes down to $33,000 worth. You freak out because you thought it was going in the opposite direction because of all the content you were watching. So you freak out. What do people do when they freak out? What does the average person do when they freak out, when they get nervous, when they don't know what they're doing? They panic, sell. That's what they do. Why do they panic sell? Because then they run back the numbers. They start to run it back. They're like, wait a minute. Oh, I think I leveraged a little too much. Because what also happens when you invest, when you leverage? This good old thing called life happens. Right? You get pregnant, someone dies, someone gets hurt, someone loses their job. You name it. Someone gets sick. Someone ends up in the hospital. Someone needs a surgery. We've all heard it. Someone gets divorced. Kid gets sick. Unexpected expense, unexpected bill. Taxes went up. Property taxes went up. Homeowners insurance went up. Eggs went up. Gas went up. Everything went up. Right after you made that investment, everything just suddenly went up. Doesn't that always happen? That's called life. So life happens. You then panic. You then sell 33 grand. So you lose the asset altogether now because you now need this money, whatever's left. You need the 33. You put it back in the HELOC because you need that money to do a roof repair, or you need that money for your wife, or you need a new car because the car broke down, motor's gone, and you are now 2.3 years behind. So if you're 40 years old, you just lost the next 2.3 years of your life because you took on massive risk. That's what that is. How do you measure risk and leverage? Use these formulas. This is such a good framework. No one talks about this. Everybody talks about dollar cost averaging and investing and how, you can leverage debt and do all this. On this channel, I will always focus on how you can be conservative in this playground. And I will always look at the risk. I will always put an emphasis on it. Because many of you don't. And you lose a lot. What if, instead of leveraging the full 66%, what if you leverage 6 to 9 months of future cash flow? 9 times $2,500 is $22,500. What if you leverage $22,500, purchase the Bitcoin, it goes down 50%, but you're fine because you're just doing velocity banking. For the next 6 to 9 months, you're going to do velocity banking. You're going to replenish the $22,500 that you borrowed. So you invested $22,500, you borrowed $22,500. You invested 9 months of future cash flow. That's what you did. You invested 9 months of future cash flow, $22,500. That investment goes down 50%, so it loses 50% of its value currently, not permanently. So now it's worth $11,250. Life happens. Let's say that life happens expense was $15,000. So now you owe 15 plus 22.5 in the HELOC. Now you're at 37.5. Let's say life happened immediately after the investment, because that's how it always goes down. You're like, oh my God, now I got to buy a new car. So boom, 15,000 bucks. You have to, get a new vehicle, down payment, whatever the case, to have the same monthly payment you were rocking with before, whatever. 15,000 was the expense. Now you owe 37.5 on the HELOC. You're still only about 37% or more leveraged on the HELOC. Only a year's worth of future cash flow at risk. You didn't sell the investment. You didn't panic. It went down 11.25. Now we go 9 months out. All right, let's just look at cash flow alone. 37.5 minus 22.5. 9 months, the HELOC will be somewhere around 15,000 or less. Doing velocity banking. Let's just say. Add some interest. Between 15 and 16,000. 7.5% on the 22.5 that you borrowed. Got all this equity available still in the line of credit. You are rocking and rolling. You're doing fine. Year goes by, right? 1 year goes by. You still owe some money in the HELOC, let's just say, but the majority of it is paid down. Ton of equity available. Bitcoin, let's say, increases by 100% now. So it recovers, and it goes up. You still have the Bitcoin. And then a year goes by, and maybe you invest another 10K in the Bitcoin, and you kept it going. This is proper risk leverage management when you look at how much you're putting at risk in the future. This is a great way to run your numbers. When you're looking at any investment, you do this for real estate, do this for any crypto, do this for any business investment, do this for any stock investment, or anything. Because you're essentially locking money up into an asset that ideally you don't want to liquidate yet because you want it to profit. Once it profits to a certain amount, then maybe you liquidate. You take that liquidation and go from there. Now here's another key point. Whatever investment you do, you've got the timeline. How long is it going to take to replenish what you leveraged? All right, so let's say you leveraged 22.5. It would take you about 9-ish months or so to replenish that 22.5. Does that make sense? Because you have $2,500 a month in cash flow. You're putting 9 months of future cash flow at risk. You're simply paying yourself back what you invested in. That 22.5 purchased Bitcoin at that point in time because of the information you were looking at. You were planning on that money shooting up. You held onto it for the long haul. But then what you want to ask yourself is the fruit argument. Is there fruit? Is there fruit there? How long to see profit? So how long would you wait purchasing that Bitcoin at 22.5 before you would liquidate as passive income, let's say? Or do you never sell? That's a strategy as well. Do you only live off the dividends? How long is it going to take? What's the timeline? Before you make the next investment. This is where a lot of you get mixed up. Maybe you're good at leveraging. Let's say you're good there, but you've got too many investments going on at once because you don't know when to stop leveraging. I like to see the fruit before I make the next investment. So for me, it's the original 22.5 investment. Let's say I want to buy Bitcoin on a consistent basis. For me personally, I want to bring that 22.5 as close to zero as possible on my line of credit before I make the next chunk investment. What I don't want to do is 22.5 today, 5 months out, do another 22.5 and then another 22.5 until I get to 66%. If you do that, you're opening yourself up to this vulnerability here of life happening. Then it creates the panic sell motion and you don't see the full fruit of the investment. Or maybe you're someone that does 22.5 here in Bitcoin, 20,000 in syndication, 20,000 in some online business. So now you got 3 pots in the fire. One goes down, one goes up, one stays stagnant. You get confused, you're over leveraged. I've seen this story happen way too many times with some clients. And frankly, it is just heartbreaking often because you didn't have any sort of framework for risk and leverage. You didn't know what your capacity was until you broke it, right? Just drop my marker. So you didn't know what your capacity was until you broke it. When you broke it, then you find a guy like me and we start to work through some of the emotional things that you were going through. All right. So now, I didn't see a whole lot of questions. I am going to look through real quick. There was people saying that it was skipping, not skipping. Very unfortunate, very sorry for that. And on the replay, it should be way better. Okay. So just kind of run through some of these comments. People were just responding, which is good. Gold 40%. Love that. Yes, so some are saying that it hasn't skipped for them at all. Others are saying that it's been skipping, that it's been lagging. So it might be some people's internet. Maybe it's mine. Super sorry for that. But definitely on the replay, it should be really good. Okay. Osborne was answering the question earlier. Thank you for that. Reopening work. Thank you, love it. This journey is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Yep. Beautiful stuff. Where can a senior find financial help? Depends on what kind of help we're looking for. Are we looking for someone to just give you money? Is that what we're looking for? Maybe we can go to churches, maybe we go to nonprofits, maybe we go to the government, and you can ask friends and family or strangers for money. That's where we can go for financial help if we're literally just saying, I need someone to give me money. If you're looking for financial wisdom, education, and improvement, inspirement, motivation, education, self-improvement, investing, all these different things, that you can find all that on this channel. And you can also take the next step by simply getting a hold of me for financial coaching, accountability, support, one-to-one. That's going to be in the links below. Anyone that's looking for coaching one-to-one, that's going to be the links in below. Or get a hold of some of my partners. Financial goal number 1, find a job. It's been difficult. Good. Financial goal number 2, $1,000 for like emergency fund. Got it. Financial goal number 3, pay off debt. Love it. Good. So Wherever you are starting, some of you, your first thing is, I just need to get a job. I know what that was like. Okay, so let that be the main thing. Let me go produce income first before I try to leverage and finesse, finagle, and get creative. Let's just go put your skills, gifts, and talents into the marketplace and get paid for that on a consistent basis. Let's figure out what does it cost to currently live your lifestyle the way it is, and we can make a decision. We can intentionally reduce that lifestyle, be conservative for a period of time so that we can create enough value to create that big gap, creates a nice emergency fund, 6 months or longer. Then we've got different debts that we can start to eliminate, which will reduce your lifestyle because you're removing debt obligations, which increases cash flow, gets you a higher return on your money. Now you redirect those dollars paying off more debt, or you get to a point where maybe you just have a mortgage at a really low rate or student loans, and you're like, I'm going to start to invest because I believe I can earn more than what that cost of debt is. That's a fixed cost. You decide to maintain it, great. Or maybe you're someone that's like debt-free first, then I'll invest. Different ways to go about it. I'm a new agent with Sebastian, Life 180. You wanted me to connect with you. What is the best way to do that? Just reach out to me directly and we can set up a time to communicate. We've got our monthly meetings that we do, right? With Sebastian, Life 180's got the different meetings, but you can just fill out my contact form, email me directly. We can set up a time to talk and figure out what exactly can I be of service to you. All right, let's figure out what that is and go from there. And this goes for everyone, wherever you're currently at. What is it that I can specifically help you in this journey that we just went on here, the current state of your finances, and how do we grow and build from there? This has been lovely, getting back into the mix of things. I want to invest in stocks that pay dividends and build my portfolio that way. Lovely. We need to have a little follow-up call and see how that's going and just simply hold you accountable. Accountability is going to be the number 1 or 2 key ingredient that separates successful people from people who do not see success in the way they like, where they see failure. Simply boils down to accountability. Who's holding you accountable on all these things that you want? Who's holding you accountable? And oftentimes, many of us are not being held accountable on the things that we want to do. So we're doing it alone and we're going much slower. But the moment you inject accountability into any area of your life, faith, reading the Bible, money, fitness, relationship, man, it accelerates your growth. So if there's any strategy out there, I'd say the number 1 strategy is accountability, in my opinion, because it just enhances, it speeds up anything that you're doing. If you're doing it right, accountability is going to make you go faster, even if you're doing it right. It's like, oh, I can make you go faster. If you're doing it wrong, having accountability, a second set of eyes, can identify, hey, you're doing it wrong. You don't even realize till you're 9 months in, oh no, you've been doing it ineffectively, inefficiently. You should have been doing it this way. I could have saved you thousands of dollars by you just investing in coaching at a few $100 to save you tens of thousands of dollars. Or you invest a few grand to save 50 grand or more into the future. It's incredible. I love it. So with that being said, we're going to close out. This has been excellent. Again, anyone that's been trying to get a hold of me, I just coming back from my honeymoon, resend those emails, put it back at the top. I'm going to be running through, playing catch up in my emails. And those of you who are already existing clients, be sure you're on my calendar. And if there's anything that I might have missed or I need to follow up on. Let's get back into the mix of things so that I can be serving you at the highest level, continue to serve you at the highest level. God bless you all. I don't see any other comments. If I missed anything, email me. Happy to serve. And I look forward to connecting with you all again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. God bless. Bye now.